Okay. Tiff and Rach here.
We are the Nobodies, and this is our podcast. Coming to you live, last day, down to the wire, running late, but we are committed to you, our listeners. We are committed to you and letting you know how our last day went.
We finished our day out yesterday with our models, doing our 6th session, which is the second of 4 sessions in the core of the deep front line. We had a morning with Tom sharing some little tidbits about how we could get deeper and to track the breath a little bit better, and
some breathing, accompanied breathing exercises
that are part of the ATSI repertoire of techniques, and really lovely. We were Googling something this morning, and Tom had mentioned something in class about dysfunction in breathing and how most people don't exhale completely. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of upper shallow breath that happens in most people and not a lot of exhale. And that is really kind of a terrifying fact that we read, that 80% of people have
a breathing dysfunction.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And so this session was all about opening the deeper breath.
And we did just that. Our day was definitely a little bit more of a fuddled, feeling of everybody's finished right now. They're all very tired, overtouched, overtired, overstimulated. And that left kind of a feeling of that everybody was on the same page, at least.
Yeah.
For the most part.
It was cohesive.
We had our salon as we waited for our clients, Tiff and I. Dennis goes first, our boy that we have here. And
he will be a guest on this podcast very soon, our Dennis Vandenberg.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so when we were in salon, Tom came in. They banished him to our techniques room, where I pressed on his carotids and almost made him faint. It was really by his own hand. He was kind of guiding me how to get into his. And they
into what?
Into the longus colli, which is the deep flexors of our neck. And they are the ones that when people have that forward head posture, they're kind of held in this more elongated but also sleepy position. They're just not being exercised. And so we touch in on them to teach them how to engage them again.
If they were part of the 7 dwarfs, they would be the drowsy dwarfs.
They're drowsy. Okay. Yes.
You gotta wake them up.
And so we were practicing techniques on Tom, which, what a gift that we get to have his hands guide us onto his body, which is incredibly open, by the way. I know that he will pick on himself and say he's got a whole bunch of closed spaces, but really his tissue is really interesting because it's so accessible.
Mm-hmm. And I joked that we were all going to pick our favorite technique and do it to him at the same time.
It was a simultaneous...
an 8-handed moment.
Yeah. Well, my gal, opening up her breath was a big part of her pattern. Mm-hmm. And she really did have a lot of relief. It's interesting, though, because the types of work that we're doing in these deeper sessions hit people differently. We were watching some people in those superficial sessions drop off their cliff. They were feeling unraveled physically. And now they're really interested and really energized by these sessions. And, Tom went through the room when we were finishing our sessions on Thursday between our classmates, and he saged the room with salt and
lit a
alcohol.
Fire in a pan.
Yes.
It was very like Emeril Lagasse. All of a sudden there was this flame. He's like, we got to clear the funk.
And truthfully, you walked in and out of that room, and when you walk out and then come back in,
there was a heaviness.
Thick.
Yeah.
It felt really dense and
stagnant.
Lots of deep breath too. And so you're really filling that room with that exhale, and it felt it.
Yeah.
And, we're all trying to figure out how we manage those types of days where the deep work brings on lots of different, and we're not going juju on you with the energy, but there is a sense when someone is expressing deep held patterns
and sadness and fear and terror and emotion coming from them. You have to have your own ritual to help you let go of that, because it's easy to hang on to those experiences and have this sense of transference as if they were your own, because you're so deeply connected into this person's body and into their being.
You know, we had a small conversation just how psychotherapy and some of the more talk therapy based work, you know, it's that disconnect where you're not touching that other person during those sessions.
No flow going back and forth.
The energy doesn't get to go between the two people that are expressing that their feelings. And, you know, in that type of dynamic, there's also just not a one way, I don't want to call it that, but one person is receiving someone else's feelings and the other one is trying to make sense of it. Whereas we're in this where we're touching, and the moment you create that closed circuit on another person, you are transferring information
back and forth
and back and forth and back and forth. And we are...
Think of it like Avatar.
Yes.
Like there's this deep intrinsic connection that happens, and there has to be a safety created between the two of you, that there's an understanding that I'm here to help you understand yourself and for your best good, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's what we were doing yesterday. It was, you know, this kind of pause feeling where we were leaving and it felt like a departure, but it was also, I will see you very soon.
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
So you'll be apprised of the goings on of our last couple of weeks throughout this next 2 weeks. And there will really be no break in contact for us, quite honestly.
No.
Yesterday for me, with my session with my gal, felt like the first time that I truly was tuned in to exactly what she needed and where and when enough was enough. And that felt really good. And it was great for me because my gal had a really rough experience after that last unwrapping session of the superficial lines, the spiral line, but had a great experience after 5, and hopefully we'll keep that going after 6. You know, things come up, and I had her, I let her know that she could reach out to me between now and then, because I want to stay in contact and make sure that she's doing okay. Because that's part of this, is that we really do care about these people and care about what's happening in their lives, and we want what's best for them.
Yeah, we hope that anybody who's in this work that might be listening, you know, you can always comment and share some of your experiences about how you envelop people and how you create safe space for people in their containers. And we want to connect with other body workers who might be experienced in this line or other lines of structural integration, other body work. We all come to this from different places and
different lenses.
Very much different lenses. And, you know, the one thing is, though, that Tiff just brought to mind is that our chance to connect with people comes at where they are in their journey of getting to know themselves. And so once again, it always brings back that anyone who is knowing themselves the best at the time is capable of creating that container that lets them grow. Like it's the appropriate sized pot for the seed that you have, or the plant size that you have. And not growing people too quickly and not growing them and collapsing them too slowly.
Yep.
And so it's a real titration.
Mm-hmm. We got a dial.
Yeah.
And I'd like for you in this day's check-in with yourself, maybe you take those nice deep breaths and you sense where in your body you feel safety. And maybe you sense where you're not sure. And just pay attention to that. Be with that. We hope you have a great weekend. Mm-hmm. And we have to hit the road.
We do.
Tiff and Rach out. Wait, what's our
attention
ending?
is everything.
We appreciate yours. Now Tiff and Rach out.